This little guy I got from TEMU. I got it free, but you can get them for, I don't know, about $3. You can get a pack of, I don't know, 5 for less than $10. It's really cheap plastic. The hooks are so cheap that when I took them off, I accidentally dropped one, this one. And then when I pushed my chair back and stepped back, I actually stepped on it with no weight and bent it. So the hooks are pretty cheap, so you'll have to replace them. Although I did see in the reviews that some guy said he caught a 4-pound bass on it. Which, yeah, they could. I mean, they're not going to bend them, but they are pretty wimpy, so I wouldn't rely on the hooks too much if you do decide to buy one. I got it because I bought a bunch of hardware. Hardware meaning swivels, ringlets, eye ringlets that you thread in, just hardware for lure making and stuff like that. A bunch of leaders, wire leaders, just things that you might as well, because it's a cheap place to buy them. And because I bought a bunch of stuff like that, they offered me to pick out 3 items for free, and this was one of them. So, but we're going to destroy it. We're going to tear it apart. I don't like this swivel. It doesn't work right. It doesn't, you got to help it so it's sticky. It's not working like it's supposed to, and I don't understand brake action on a mouse. This I don't understand even more so. I've never seen a mouse dive, but this might have a lot to do with making it do this. But it's just not smooth. It catches If you push up on it, then it works perfect. But otherwise, no. They should work perfect if you just turn them like this. You should just flip, 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 flip. Surprisingly, the tail is really put together better than the actual lure. I just went, this is to me extra thin. It's just like thinner than water almost. And took this brush right here and just brushed this whole thing and let it soften. This glue will, it's made for putting model cars together, 1/25th scale model cars, but it kind of softens the plastic enough where it bonds the 2 pieces together. So I ran it all along everywhere, just almost soaked all this with it, so it would melt the plastic a little bit around this string, and then also made the string a little more waterproof. It's still flexible. It's still, you can tie this in a knot if you wanted to. You just put a really thin coat of glue over everything and soften the plastic enough where it's sealed, where the glue went down inside each little spot. But as you can see, it's still flexible. This works better than the actual lure. But it's got, all they did was, you know, it's got a hole here, and they shoved it through there and then shoved the pin through. So I sanded each side a little bit and did the same thing with this glue and just let it run down inside. That's why it looks so messy right there, because I just sanded it really quick. But anyway, this is going to be cut in half, and I'm going to take the hardware out of it and then fuse the 2 pieces together as one, and then we're going to cut this off. You can see I kind of made guy lines already right there. That's where the plastic thickens up, where it comes into the actual lure, the mold itself. It thickens up quite a bit right there. There, you can probably see it now. So I just went ahead, I'm going to leave that for a little bit of extra strength, especially since the line screws in right here. That'll give it a little bit of, if it bumps the bottom a little bit, which, you know, coming into the shoreline or whatever, if you're close to a shoreline or bumping it up against the side of a boat or something, so it might protect your line a little bit if I leave a little bit of it there. So I will replace the hooks, of course. These look like about size 6 or 8, maybe 8, but I'll put a little bit bigger hooks on them, not too big because I don't want the tail to get hooked into this, although I think it would come right out if it did. But that's our plan. When I got it, I knew right away just from the paint job that I was going to do something with it. I mean, a green where the whiskers go. Who thought of that? The pink's okay, although it's a little more neon than it needs to be. But I think it's the same pink they used on this. The airbrush guy had a bad day that day. He just kind of good, threw it in the box, called it good. Assembly line. Could you imagine go to work every day and you have a little airbrush and all you do is spray 3 things on this lure and move on, grab another one all day long? Wow. No thanks. But anyway, that's our plan. We're going to tear this thing apart. Sorry, TEMU, but we're going to make this American style. Starting now. Well, I'm pretty positive that this is going to be annoying to listen to. So I think what I'll do is probably tell you what I'm going to do, and then when I start to do it, maybe throw on some music or something. We'll see. But I want to cut this off. I don't need a mouse that dives. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it was done to make it so it helps do the wiggle thing. Because if you reel that slow across the top, it would do that. But we're not going to have this, so we don't need this. So here we go. I got my eye protection on, so I don't need the comments and all that. I'm actually going to put my mask down too. But anyway, here we go. Get her done. This should go relatively quickly. That's one side. Pretty brittle acrylic, so, or some kind of polystyrene maybe, but I'm stopping because I actually cut through the seam line. This is 2 pieces. Both these pieces are 2 pieces put together. There's a ball on this side, which I might take out. But I just wanted to make sure that when I crossed that, it didn't split it to the point of separation. And it doesn't look like it did. I did run a bead of glue all the way around that thin glue. I just ran a real thin just in case there was any separation at all, it would get down in there and fuse this plastic right together, like right now. Alright, let's continue. This is on speed 2, in case you guys are wondering what I'm doing here. Front. We have the basic shape cut out. Just get all the little hairs that melt. High speed, all those little hairs would end up all over this room. So that's why I did it low speed, so it just kind of slowly cuts it, keeps it in a pile. But that's already better than that huge, giant lip that looks like it's smiling now. So now all we need to do is just touch it up by using the edge. These are really thick cutters. I got these, gosh, I can't remember. I think, actually I do remember, but it's a lengthy story. I bought them online from another guy. We were both doing the same hobby. But anyway, I'm going to use the edge of the front of it, I guess. Not the cutting edge, but the disc itself, and just round it off. These are really thick. These are good quality. And I'm going to do it on number 1 speed with the cut going away from me, so I don't get any of the stuff in my face or near my face. Just kind of round it off the edges a little bit. It doesn't have to be exactly to my line at all. It doesn't have to be. Just want to get an even round shape. I might have to go up in speed a little bit. Let's do that. Start the edge back here, round it off a little bit. A lot of this is going to be done by hand. I'm just getting the basic shape of it so I don't have to file so manually. I just want to tuck it around where, it's not so square. Make a nice round on the edge there, going back into the body of the lure. And just bring it around. Bring it on. And then round off the front lip all the way around. Talking like I've done this before, and I have never done this before, so I've cut lips off, but I've never done this part before. Back here like I did the other side. Round it off. Just barely touching the plastic to the grinder. long as we have the general basic shape, you know, the round and the cut with this, the rest will be fine tuning with little mini files. That's looking pretty good right there. Yeah. Because you try to do the finesse work with this and you always get just a little too much, and you got to go over to this side, then pretty soon you're back and forth, you have nothing left to work with. So leave your lines so you can see them, and then it gives you something to work with your hand put files. Okay, we'll get back to that. Let's hack this puppy in half now. I was going to hack it in half first, but I thought I need something to hang on to while I'm doing this, and I'm kind of glad I did that. This, let's see, I think the best approach is just to get a good grip on it. Let's see, I got to be able to get it so I can get it down in here like this without that happening, because if it slips out of my hand and goes flying, it could go flying anywhere. So I need to be able to firm grip on it like I got. It can't go anywhere now. And then I need to work this down in here. It's good to practice first so you know how much room you got on both sides, and you know how, because you get it in there and it does a little twist on you, it'll hit the sides of the lure and screw that all up. So I want to be able to practice this and see where I need to be, which is right there. My hand's out of the way. Okay, so I can get to that one right there pretty easy. I can come over here and get to that one. Alright, let's do this. All the mothers in the world right now are going, oh my god, when it comes to it'll be actually a little easier because I can see it, for one, closer to my eyes, but I can get a firmer grip. Would have been smarter to turn it off before I pulled it out of there, but alright, now we just gotta wiggle this bad boy up out of there. This one's gonna be stubborn. Oh, how odd. There, that did it. The other one came right out nice. Actually, it broke in two places. Okay, now grab these pliers. Pull the rest of it apart as much as I can. Thinking we're onto something here. Let's grind these down. can work with that. Better already. I need to do it in here. Okay, I need to change bits on the Dremel. I'll be right back. Okay, now we'll take this sanding disc, or dowel disc, whatever, and take some of this out. What's holding it up now is just a little bit of wire that's still sticking out from getting a perfect closed fit, so we'll take some of this out. Look at that. We're getting closer and closer. That's really close. There's a little bit of out of proportionness, but the epoxy I use will fill up the gap. Yeah, I don't think I really want to go much further. Doing anything else now will just make it harder to try to get together. Okay. Let's get a little more of this right here. I noticed that it's holding it up. Other than that, we're not going to do much more of this. See where it's a little uneven. better and better. This is actually going to work easier than I thought it was. That's not bad. Alright, well, I think that's as far as we need to go, but boy, that takes a whole different shape now. That's going to be cool. Now that we got rid of this, once we get that together, hopefully your imagination is as good as mine. I'm sure you can't see. I'm trying to hold everything so I can see it with my eyes, so everything you're looking at is different than what I'm looking at. But let's see here, hold on. There's the gap right there that I'm working with on the top, and that's the gap on the bottom. Hold on, let me get it situated here. The gap on the bottom is just a little more uneven. Whoops. It's hard to hold it straight, so it's flush. Yeah, I got a more uneven gap on the bottom. So this section here needs to come down a little more. Just gotta go a little at a time. You want as much surface area touching as possible. Not bad. Now that we're getting some surface area. Okay, well, I think what we're going to do now is make up some epoxy and put it together, and I'll see you guys when it's one piece. Alright, she's on one piece now. I've started sanding already. I'm impatient. Sorry. Sometimes I forget the camera's even up there. I just get to work and don't even pay attention. But yeah, she's one piece now. It's solid. It's not going nowhere. It looks like a big gap, but it's really not. When I sanded the two pieces inside, I sanded them completely down to the clear plastic. So you're seeing the clear plastic. That's why the gap looks so wide right now. You're actually, because I sanded this piece way back, so when this one came to it, it would stick plastic to plastic, no paint in between. And that's why it looks like such a big gap. It's actually very tiny gap all the way around. I did a lot more shaping and sanding off camera because I just didn't like the way it fit together with that huge gap in the bottom. You can see right through it, and I didn't like that at all. So I just shaped it and shaped it by hand with little files until I got it so it was touching everywhere all the way. And then I got the epoxy out and put it together. And now all I'm doing is roughing up the paint here. So there's a gap here. There's no doubt there's going to be a gap there. The glue's going to dry and it's going to shrink a little bit, so it's going to leave a little gap. But flush wise, it's flush. It's really good. It came out really nice. It took the shape of the mouse really nice on both sides all the way around. It looks really good. But of course there's a little gap, so I'll have to fill that and then keep working it down by sanding it. But I want to sand it now, so it's just one more step ahead, because all I really want to do is focus on this once we're at this point. I don't want to fill this, sand this whole thing, and then come back and do this again. Just get this done now, because I want to shape this, get this all shaped up where I cut that off. I want to get that shaped in by hand and get it all sanded smooth. So when I'm done and I'm working on this, I'm just doing this. And then after that is done and smooth, then we can prime the whole thing. You know, it just so much faster. You spend more time doing the little things like in between all these little toes. You spend a little more time doing that when you're not worried on this right now. Just get everything sanded smooth. You know, there's always build up of the paint that was on there before, so you just knock it down and just make sure you work around these crevices really good. Get good adhesion. The smoother this is now, the smoother your paint will be. I used to be a model builder. Oh, I still am. I still build models. But you spend a lot of time prepping before you paint, just so your paint looks good. All that time you spend gluing and building and make sure every piece is put together right, and people don't even see that. What they see is the end result. So I'm so used to, detailed sanding, so all the paint lays level. I'm so used to doing it that I just do it naturally now on whatever I'm doing. I could be painting a sign right now and it'd still be the same deal. Attention to the details at the beginning makes the endings and results so much nicer. Smoother the better. On lures like this, after I sand this and get this gap filled and primed so it's all level and perfect, I'll dip it in clear coat and then sand it with like 3000, and then I'll start painting it. So I got a nice perfectly smooth surface to paint on before I even paint. That's just me. You do not have to do that at all. That's just me. I'm so used to being meticulous at the end result that I know what it takes to get there. See, I'm avoiding doing this right now as I'm working my way up because I want to do just that when I get to that. So I'm doing just the body right now. If I just started working my way up this, I would lose focus that I still need to do all this and work on this, work on this, and work on this, and then forget where I'm at. Just work on the body, get the whole body smooth. All your little crevices, all your little cracks and bumps and divots that you got to work around, do it now. This is where your paint lays really nice. don't know what they were thinking when they put that green paint there. I don't think I've ever seen a mouse with green paint whiskers. Pretty sure I haven't. I'm just giving them a hard time. It's all about what the colors the fish see. It's not about what you see. This is actually shaping the plastic more than it's sanding the paint right now. Making that snout perfectly smooth all the way around. I'm just using the corner and it's flexing, as you can see. I'm holding it way back here and just letting that corner do this. So it's very lightly and smoothly making that snout all the same all the way around. Nice and smooth. Alright, now that we got the body sanded rough enough, I'll start working on this. This just needs to be cleaned up. It's pretty much already got the shape that it's going to have. It just needs to get those rough edges that I put on it from the Dremel taken away, and it won't take long. Even with this 1000, it'll smooth it out enough where I can continue on. Just keep the same rhythm and work your way all the way around. Don't do one side till it's shiny and then go to the other side. In other words, do it evenly, or you'll have this side flatter than this side. It's just a pain in the ass, believe me. Learn from experience. You already made the shape with the Dremel. You're not shaping it, you're smoothing it. So you can smooth the whole thing at the same time. And you'll be done a lot quicker. I'm sure this is boring, and if you're made it this far along, thank you. This cannot be fun to watch. But it's necessary that I show how to do it, because some people have never done this. And I've done it for so long, this type of stuff anyway, that I forget to say things until they dawn on me what I'm doing, and then I say it. So I could be, involved quite a bit before I even just say what I'm doing. That black line's not going to matter, because this isn't going to be clear. This is going to be painted. Whatever I paint the bottom, it's going to blend right in with the bottom of the paint. I'm not going to leave it clear at all. That was never the intentions. It was always going to be painted. I want that to blend in with the mouse. it. We got everything sanded smooth. Now all I've got to do is just work on this gap right here. Get this filled. And once it's filled, we'll get it smooth, level, all the way around. And prime it. One piece. I still got the rattle in it. I was going to drill a hole and pop the rattle out, but I thought, what the hell, it'll still float. So I just didn't want the extra weight, and I think it's in the ass end too, which is going to be weird. I'm pretty sure it's in the ass end. So, but when I pull it, it'll go up and down. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of bass hit this. Okay, got to get some stuff together and get this filled. Be right back. Alright, well, I filled in a little bit more, and it's actually the next day, and I've been doing a little sanding while I was drinking my coffee this morning. Again, forgetting to turn the camera on. But anyway, good morning, everybody. All I'm doing now is the epoxy that I put in here to fill that gap. You know, it made a bubble. I mean, not a bubble, but it was higher all the way around than the actual lure. So now I'm just going across and getting it more level. This will take a few steps. You'll never get it perfect until it is perfect. So you just got to keep working at it. There's always going to be little dips and divots because things settle different. Eventually you'll get to the point where it'll fill in with primer. And that's what I'm getting to, or trying to get to. I'm using 600 grit, just so it gets the job done a little quicker. I'm not going to resand the whole lure again with 600. I'm just doing right here, just to make sure that's really level. It's going to take a little while. I've been going at it for a little while. In fact, I'm on my second cup of coffee. So I've been going at it for a little bit here. I got pretty lucky that the two pieces actually went together really smoothly. It's almost like they were meant to be together. The body shape, everything, the way it bellies out on the sides, on both sides, everything is exact. It's almost like they made one and then cut it in half and made two out of it. It's kind of weird how it all fit together so perfect. I really did not expect that. I expected it to not fit at all, and I was going to have to fill it and probably scratch the whole idea because it'd be so much filler that it wouldn't work as a lure. You know, one good bite by a big fish and snap the thing right in half, but it worked out really well. Just went together real nice. I mean, you've seen it took a little bit of shaping. It weren't an exact fit, but it wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be. Nowhere near as much as I thought it was going to be. A little bit of Dremel work just to get the two pieces so they touch everywhere. The more surface you have between this piece and this piece that actually touch together when you glue them, you're much better off. If it only glued on the edges and you had a big gap in the middle, and you tried to fill all that with glue, it wouldn't work. It would eventually break. You gotta have plastic touching everywhere, or you should, to get the best bond. And you have to rough up the plastic. Before I glued the two pieces together, I took my Dremel and just roughed it up to get all the paint off, and to put deeper scratches in it so the glue would get in the scratches on both pieces, and then it really becomes impossible to break. The glues today, the epoxies today, it's incredible how strong they are. Even the super glues out today, I probably could have put this together with super glue, to tell you the truth. I'm sure it would have stayed as long as I prepped the plastic just the same as I did with the epoxy. You know, clean it up really good, sand it up really good, and do the exact same process I did with the epoxy. I could do it with super glue. I bet it would have stayed. But for sure, to fill this, if I used super glue and baking soda, that would have been perfect, instead of just filling it in with epoxy, because I'm going to paint it anyway. All I'm really doing now is making sure that there's a smooth transition between the two pieces. Making sure this piece smoothly goes right into this piece, which it pretty much does already. But anywhere you see where there's no paint on the lines, but then there's paint right there, that's really close. This needs to be shaped a little bit more. That means it didn't quite fit together. There's a little dip right there. So I'll have to work that slowly back and forth like this until that becomes round. And then it becomes perfect. Same right here. There's a little bit of white paint along the edge and a little bit of gray paint along this edge. All that, once that disappears, then these two pieces will be perfectly in line. Alright, I decided to give it a dip and clear coat after I sanded it all to 1000. I dipped it into the clear coat just because I knew it would make it crystal clear and you'd be able to see inside there and see where the two pieces are actually joined together and see how clean it came out. Don't worry about the paint right here. That's like a little shoulder that I couldn't sand. There's really no point in sanding all this out, and all the rest is clear. By dipping it in clear coat, it made it perfectly level all the way. It's so smooth right now. I can just barely feel the transition between the two pieces. Slightly. It came out that good. On the top, I can't feel it at all. It's really smooth up there. And a little bit on the side here, and a little tiny bit over here. But the joint is just perfect. I can't can't believe how smooth it is all the way around. And by dipping it in clear coat, that actually helped fill in what little bit of crevice might have been left between the two pieces joining together. That filled in the seam even more. So I'm going to sand this now with 1000 and get it, the whole thing sanded 1000 grit. And I might dip it one more time in clear, just so I'm for sure certain that this seam is filled up. I want it completely filled, smooth, even before I prime it, so the primer lays flat, because I don't want to prime it any more than one time, because the primer is actually thicker than the clear coat, and I'll lose a lot of the detail, like in these little toes and all the little carving details. I'll lose it if the primer's too thick. So I'd rather fill the crevice that it makes where the seam is with the clear coat. But anyway, we're going to sand this a little bit, and with this 1000 here. But I really just wanted to show you how perfectly clear it came out just by sanding it with 1000 grit. I didn't go up any higher. I have 3000 grit in these two, but I may do that at the end. Probably not, because it's a fishing lure, it's not a car. But just with the 1000 it came out that perfect and that smooth. I like it. Now we're going to make it look dull by doing what I'm going to do right now. Just go over the whole thing. And you kind of, that's how you really tell, just by sanding it. Again, you'll know where the highs and the low spots are, because it'll be shiny. You can see where I sanded, and you can see in the crack right there where it's joined together, that little tiny shiny spot. That's because there's a little bit of an indentation, and the sandpaper's not getting down in there to hit that. So I'll know right away where I need to make sure there's more clear coat to fill it. For the most part, by sanding it right now, I should just take it out of this. Put that in there just so it's easier to show you guys. I don't even know what I was saying. Lost track of what I was saying. But, oh yeah, for the most part, I'm just going to sand right here to make sure it's smooth, where the seam goes together. There it is. Now I just go over the rest of it really lightly. Just to make sure the next coat will adhere a little bit. Have something to grab hold of. Alright. This is what it has become. It is now one piece with one paint, and it actually looks like it was made that way. It's hard to believe that that was two pieces with a joint in the middle. Came out pretty good. There's a couple of little indentations where you can see that, you know, it was joined, but it's a fishing lure. It's not a car. I mean, I could have spent a lot more time. I could still fix that, and I may. It's just a matter of putting a little filler in there. But it's solid. It is solid one piece with the epoxy I put it on there. It'll break other places before it breaks there. That's for darn sure. But it's a straight line proportion, so it's going to glide. It's going to go, I mean, the head's not, it didn't go on crooked. Everything lined up nice and straight. And I did it all by eye. I just kind of guessed. Here, let's take it out of this. I just kept checking it and looking at it as I was gluing it, because you really had to squish the hell out of it. If you remember, I said that when I had the Dremel and I was carving out what I needed to carve out to get it to fit together, I put on a coarse disc, and the inside of these pieces, all four sides, 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, were roughed up really good. And then when I put the epoxy in there and squished it together, it filled those cracks and crevices that I made with the Dremel. So it's really biting. I mean, it's probably the strongest part of the whole lure, for sure. And then worked it and worked it and worked it until it became one piece. I primed it white to start with, and then right at the end, I was almost done, it started spitting. You can see the white primer. It started spitting. There was nothing, I wasn't at the end of the can either. It was plenty full enough. And it was looking great too. Nice thin coating. It was so nice. But it started spitting really heavy, so it just you can see a little bit of the roughness right here. And I actually sanded it down. And I didn't have any more primer. All I had was a matte finish gray, and I thought, well, I was kind of go with a rat look anyway, more so than a mouse. So I'm going to make it a gray rat, and this isn't even going to be the gray. It's just a base coat. So there may be some shades of this coming through, but this isn't going to be the primary shade. I just needed a base coat, and I really wanted to see what it looked like, one color completely put together as one piece. So it could have been black right now for all I care. I just wanted to see what it looked like as one piece and see if I needed to do any more filling. And I may, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's a slight little, right in front of my finger right there, there's a little bit of a indentation, and then same on this side right there where the two pieces were. I got it a little bit too flat, so it's not rounded when I put them together anymore. It wasn't a round piece, so it made a little bit of a dent there. I got carried away with the Dremel, which is easy to do with a Dremel, but still, all in all, first time ever doing that. That come out pretty good, and I'm really impressed with this. If you remember, it was just a big square bill, huge square bill. I cut it this way, and then cut it this way, and then cut it that way, and then shaped it all. And it's going to protect where the line will clip in right here. If it hitting the ground, it happens to hit the ground or whatever, it won't hit right here where the line is. So it'll help protect that. I half thought about, once I got it that far, to bring it right down to the lure and just make it, the rat. But it might help make it do a little bit of action or something, who knows. But once I got it down that far, I realized, hey, that kind of protects the line when it clips in there, so let's just leave that. So I did. Anyway, this is it. Now, this is the last clip of construction. It's set up now for paint, so the very next clip will be painting this to look like a rat. Get the airbrushes out, get the paint mixed up, and away we go.